no going back now, Alvaro. The red button's been pushed.
Oh my gosh.
And so a lot of hard questions coming your way, but that's how you get 2 million views that you just promised. Hard questions.
Please don't open the black box.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. So we got a little Brazilian-American squad here. We got Alvaro Filho finally back in the studio. Man, you've been requested. You and Alison have been requested a lot. And glad to have you in here. And Cesar, how do you pronounce your last name?
Benatti.
Benatti.
Yeah.
Got it. Thanks for coming on.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a fan of the show, so I hope I can contribute to it.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. But it's funny because it's like pretty much another rendition of the John Mayer, Billy Allen episode. We got 3 different college institutions represented. You got LMU, and formerly LMU.
Yeah. Just recent got out of LMU, which was amazing. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life coaching. Now I'm going to Florida Southwestern College, which is a junior college institution, going back to volleyball indoor. So today was my last act as a beach volleyball coach. And
I feel like you're still. I think I'm going to still see you on the beach every now and then.
Yeah, no, I hope I stay involved with USA. And NTDP, so as much as I can help on the beach, I will be really, really happy to.
Yeah, so we got formerly LMU and then Stetson.
Yeah, Stetson University in DeLand, Florida.
And I think, because I know I was super curious about it, and I think there's a lot of people who'd also be curious, like, how did you end up from Brazil to DeLand, Florida?
Yeah, so that's a fun story. I moved to US here, and I arrived here at 13 June 2023. And when I arrived, my main idea was like, okay, I'm gonna play like 1-2 years AVP, and I wanted to, like, the main thing was to be closer to my family. Like, my kids are growing right now, and I called Nick Lucena from FSU, and I said, Nick, I want to do like a transition between player and the coach, and do you have anything in your mind, like if somebody needs like a assistant coach or something like that? And he said, oh, we just hired somebody for us, and but I think somebody needs, and if somebody needs, like I'm gonna talk about you. And that's came Christina. He did like a bridge. Brooke talked to her, and Coach Christina talked to me, head coach from Stetson University, and I started on 2024, and I'm there since 2024. It's I'm going to my 3rd season, and I'm really happy as a coach right now.
And you're relatively new into the coaching world, so I'm on year 1. This is your 2nd year.
Yeah.
You've done a couple USA things. We always talk about, because when former players become coaches, there's always that transition period. And you're kind of in that in-between, right? You're still playing with Alison. You're going to play Manhattan with them. You played in Huntington. How's the transition been from player to coach?
So I had the key in my head, like kind of switch it. Like, I was playing last season with Caleb, and I said to him, like, okay, Caleb, I don't think I'm going to play anymore. But when it was January, Alison called me and said, like, okay, probably can be my last season, and I really wanted to play with you. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got goosebumps in the time, and I just felt like
not just you, all of us.
Yeah, I really felt really honored, but like to play with him again. Like, for me, Alison, most professional partner I ever had, and love you, Alison. And we are playing again. It was really fun to play with him last week in Huntington. And the thing is, right now, I'm trying to switch the key for a coach, and it's a process. It's kind of hard for me when I'm sitting like and trying to help the players, but I'm also really happy because I feel that I can share and help, and just full, like my spirit just like very happy because I can help like others with what I kind of learned during this 15 years playing.
And I loved, so just for reference, so all of us were working the USA National Development Camp. So I was with Alvaro and April Ross with men's U21. Who were you coaching with?
With Megan Bergdorf.
Okay. And you had the U17 boys?
Yeah.
Okay. And so we were all just sort of out there, and I loved getting to work with you and chatting Brazilian volleyball stories.
Okay.
And I loved what you said about Alison and what a great partner he is. And if you could share, like, what is it that makes Alison one of the best partners that you've played with?
So Alison is just when I say best partner, I mean like a very professional, and everything that he was supposed to, like, when we said like we're gonna do this, he is 200% committed, like what the goal is, and he's going to do everything he can to achieve that. And this is something that I learned from him, and not only that, but also like I was younger than him, and playing with him, he was already like a legendary player, like with 2 medals, and every day he was the first to arrive in the courts to practice, and he's been like a very good example for the young generations in Brazil. But not only there, but also here when he's playing AVP, I can see the young players, the young blockers trying to watch him and to learn from him, because like it's just a unique opportunity. Like probably this season in AVP we're gonna have like maybe 2 of the greatest of all time, like Alison and Phil retiring, and it's just a unique opportunity, not only to play with a guy like that, but also like to see what these kind of people do. Like as we were talking with Coach April, like April was sharing with us like the experience, like, and what was very important in her mindset, like to be so successful, like as she was, and just very blessed to be part of partnership with Alison.
Yeah, and you mentioned everyone kind of got goosebumps that Alison's retiring.
Definitely. Those guys are my idols.
Yeah, because you grew up in Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
What is your, like, we kind of did your coaching background, but I'm so curious, just like your life background, like how you ended up from Sao Paulo to coaching here for the last dozen or so years.
Yeah, so I've been coaching for 25 years now.
Wow.
So I'm a veteran. I played very little professional volleyball in Brazil, and then I made the transition for coaching very early in my life. So I was coaching in Brazil, and then I had a ex-girlfriend that came to the United States in 2007.
Okay.
And then she was in a junior college in Texas. And then my plan was to eventually come and live with her, but it didn't work out. But it worked out for me to come and coach. So I was in Nebraska for 3 years in a small
Sao Paulo to Nebraska.
Sao Paulo to Scottsbluff, Nebraska, which was one of the biggest blessings of my life, even though it was like a complete change.
That's a shock.
Yeah, it was a big shock, but it was a great place with great people. So I was there for 3 years. We won a national championship there. It was an amazing experience there. And my time was done there because I was a student at that time. So I went back to Brazil, was there for 2 years. And then the same coach that I was with in Nebraska, Giovanna Mello, she got the job in Bakersfield.
Got it. So, that's how you ended up in Bakersfield.
So yeah, so she hired me back to go to Bakersfield with her, and it was Division I, as a better structure in a better place. And then when I got there, they had just started the beach program. So I was the indoor assistant, and at that time, the beach assistant as well. And then the coach there, Olivia Simcoe, was great person as well. Played in the AVP a little bit. She resigned. She had her second kid, decided to go out of coaching, and then I took the beach volleyball head coaching position there.
Got it.
And then I was there for 9 years. Eventually, we split the program, so I was there my last year and a half. I was there just doing beach.
Cool.
And then I had worked with John Mayer in some NTDP camps, and then when the opportunity came up at LMU, I reached out to him, and everything worked out. So I was, the last 3 years of my life, I was very dedicated to beach volleyball.
Yeah, and I know we were talking about it because when my wife Delaney was coaching at Pep, and she went to Bakersfield, and you guys almost took him down. She said what a great job you had done with the program. And I remember seeing Bakersfield ranked at one point, and I was like, what? So how did you go about, how do you recruit to Bakersfield? Because I think, all due respect, when people think of Southern California, it's not Bakersfield.
Yeah.
So you must have done a great job developing talent. Now I'm curious, like, it was impressive, I think, how well you built that program, and now Andrew Fullenweiner's doing a pretty good job with them too.
Yeah, thank you first. And well, at the beginning when I took over the program, we would recruit just dual athletes. So basically we had indoor players playing beach. That was the initial recruiting process there for beach players. We tried as much as we could find players that could play both, but the priority was always indoor. But then eventually I started coming to those events in the summer. So BV&E was a big one, all the AAUs, AVP, all the events that go on in the summer, and trying to find players that had potential that were not being recruited by the big schools, but I could see some potential to become like some players that could pay off in 2-3 years. And I found a handful of them.
Yeah.
So, and they did a really good job. I think some like developing some methods there with a good core group, like good beach core group, and adding the indoor players in the spring. It was a good combination for us. And eventually we did a good job, got lucky a little bit, and ended up doing a good job.
What was the transition like? Because you had your own program for almost a decade, and then you become an assistant. How was that transition? Because when you're a head coach, you have all the decision making. It's your program, and then you come to John's program at LMU, and I don't know what it was like there, but I'm curious what that transition was like going from head coach to assistant.
Yeah, it was very easy. I made it hard because of my own mindset, but it was very easy because John is the most selfless guy, and he gave us like right away. Benny is the other assistant coach that is still there. He gave us so much autonomy, so much power to make decisions as well. So it was very smooth, and it was a lot of learning. So when I made the decision to make that transition, for me in my head was like, this is not a step back. This is actually a step up, because I'm going into a program that it's been a powerhouse for the last year. I knew John. I know he's one of the best beach volleyball coaches in the world. So I know that I'm going to be there for, 3-4 years. Ended up being less than that. But my mindset was always, I'm going there to learn, to contribute as much as I can. And with my experience as a head coach, I could actually be more than an assistant coach and take some roles that could help him in this process. And it worked out. He made it super easy, like I said. And it was a great experience, great experience.
How did you grow as a coach, learning from John, and just seeing, not even just learning from John, but seeing how a different program operates?
Yeah, so one thing that caught my attention right away was the department at LMU is great. The school is great. John runs a really professional program, and everything is done in a really, really high level. So that was the thing that for me was the most important in that experience, was to how do we do things in the highest level possible.
Yeah.
So all the way to training, to the methods, to recruiting, to doing all the administration part, doing all the other things that you can do to add to a program. Like we had meetings with Bernie Holiday, which for me is one of the best sports psychologists in the planet. We had access to Joe Trinzi, who's one of the best stats guy in the world as well. So all those little things that he brings to the program and makes the program better, it's like I cannot pay for any experience like that. So for me, it was amazing learning with those guys in a daily basis.
Yeah, and that's why that was one of the biggest things, and we chatted about this. My biggest appeal to coming out to doing this NTDP wasn't necessarily getting paid or working with the kids. It was to learn from Alvaro and April. Yeah. And I was like, man, it's like a paid internship that
Definitely,
I get to
yeah.
be their assistant, so I just like tried to be as quiet as I could and just listen to everything you guys said.
Yeah, like for me was like we were talking about like to be part of like sharing with coaches like as I'm still doing like a transition, I'm still like learning. I still need to work a lot to be like a good coach, in my opinion. Also, like I follow Cesar for a long time, like I learn a lot from him, and being able to be like with coaches from all the country, like different kind like styles, and being able to learn from everybody, like it's just a very unique opportunity, and was a very fun weekend we had talking about the cars, if you are a good driver or bad driver. But it was awesome. Like it's been a very good journey, like the transition, like being like from a player to a coach, and I'm enjoying that.
And just for the listeners and viewers who were not a part of our storytelling about the cars, can you explain, because we're comparing players
Oh
to
gosh,
fast
okay.
cars, minivans, good drivers, bad drivers.
Okay, so we're kind of comparing players with like cars, and so there is the Ferrari, but sometimes the driver of the Ferrari is not a good driver. So sometimes it's better to have like a minivan, very comfortable. But if you are a good driver, you can achieve the goal and achieve the location maybe faster than a bad driver with a Ferrari if you crash the car. So we kind of like a good driver, bad driver. It's better player to be like to have to be a good driver or bad driver, or to just to be atletical as a Ferrari, or it's better to be just maybe kind of a not very atletical player, but not skilled, but very good driver, and then you can also like achieve good things. So this kind of comparison we were doing was really funny. Talking, oh, this is a Corolla, or this is a Honda, it's an Odyssey, or
Yeah.
this player is kind of okay, but this is a Lewis Hamilton as a driver, but he's a Corolla, so
Yeah.
he can achieve
Honda
the goal.
Civic, great car.
Yeah,
Great car.
go go easily over 100,000 miles. Just
Oh,
change the
yeah.
oil, and it's gonna be fine.
What do you think you would have been?
I believe I'm kind of let's
He's
say
the good driver in
I-
the Ferrari.
Yeah.
No.
That's the
I
combo-
believe
that's the
I
combo we
believe
like.
I believe I'm like a Toyota. I'm not a very like I'm not the tallest. I'm not the strongest, but I believe I'm a good driver.
And I love chatting with you about this, is that what set you apart, because you got in relative to Brazilians to the beach game a little bit late when you were 15, and you just had this work ethic. And man, can you tell a story about your dad being a cowboy?
Oh gosh, yes. Okay.
Man, I loved it.
Yeah. So everybody like kind of ask, oh, why you wear that hat when you go to the podium or something like that, and I start to explain because like I'm from a region in Brazil, northeast of Brazil, that we have kind of we call vaqueiros, which is like a cowboy. I can translate
Yeah,
like that,
it's a
says
cowboy,
a
yeah.
cowboy,
Yeah.
and it's very typical from that region, like a sport called vaquejada, which is a sport that the guy is over the horse and there is the bull. You take the tail of the bull, and the goal is to put the bull in a certain like a space like down
It's
by
a
the
cow
by the tail.
tipping, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a kind of
Got it.
yeah.
So my father, he was a champion on that sport in my region, and he was always very competitive, and I maybe kind of he was the one that introduced me to the sport. He kind of asked me to, every time I win a tournament or be in the podium, try to represent our region with that hat, because it's from the Cowboys of the region. And that's maybe kind of the reason why the training center in Brazil called CT Cangaço, it's also called CT Cangaço because at the time the people called the cangaceiros, they were the one that wear that hat, and was kind of people that live in that region. And yeah, that's I started to wear that with Vito, which was my first partner. Love you too, Vito. And Vito, I played with him for like 7 years. He was like, we were like kind of brothers. We studied together and practiced together from a long time. And yeah, that's where everything started. Like with my dad saying like, you have to play volleyball because you have to play, and I was not. No, I'm not going to play volleyball. But I started playing, and I loved it, and I'm here because of that.
And when you started, because your dad and Vitor's dad were friends,
Yeah.
right? And Vitor was one of the best, and you were new, and so you guys kind of got.
No,
you got
Vitor
linked
was the best. Vitor was the best in town in volleyball. I was terrible, to be honest. And I was like, I used to play soccer, most like into like a 15 years old, and then I started playing beach volleyball, and like I just was kind of a passion. And his dad, he was also like a cowboy, and they met in the vaquejada, and they said, "Oh, my son plays volleyball." And my dad said, "Oh, my son also plays volleyball. Let's put them to play together in the beach." And then I was playing with the best volleyball player in the city, and I was the worst. I don't know why he was playing with me, but I just learned a lot from Vito, and he was very patient with me. To be honest, I was really bad.
Well, you got good fast because you guys won a handful of medals in the
21.
U21 World Champs.
Yeah, we got 2 medals, 2 silver medals in the under 21, and we also got the record, like winning 3 times the national championship in Brazil. And yeah, like and also we played Pan American Games together. We got silver as well, so we're the silver team. But very good, like friend of mine, Vito.
Yeah, it's been and you've had a handful of partners. You played with Vitor,
Oh gosh, yeah.
Thiago,
I guess I had more than 20
Alison.
partners.
Pedro.
I played with Pedro Sober, really awesome guy. I played with for
Ricardo?
one tournament. I played with Fabio Luis.
Fabio, the 2008 silver medal. That Fabio?
Yes, that
Okay.
Fabio. I played one tournament with him. I played with Benjamin, which was also played in 2004 Olympic Games in Athens.
Okay.
He also played a lot with Bruno. I also played with Ricardo, which was like a unbelievable partnership as well. Like maybe the biggest growth like point of my career. Like I was 22 years old and play with a legend. As we were talking about, like I started like missing classes and watching Ricardo and Emanuel practicing João Pessoa,
That's great.
and uh, and then I start shagging balls for them, and then I start practicing with them. And then 4 years later, I was playing with Ricardo, so it was like, oh my gosh, I'm playing with my idol, and was very special moment for me, like playing with Ricardo. Fun story that I talked to you is that
You may. It makes me
I'm
laugh.
I'm tell the first one that was the one that like sometimes in the court he was telling me something. I was like, why he's asking me to do that in the court? And then, no, don't worry, you're going to move like this way and this way. The ball's gonna be in your hand, trust me. And I was doing, the ball was coming to my hand. I was like, oh, this guy is just like, how the ball's here? Like I was just laughing because the ball is in my hand again.
Yep.
And I was just starting to recognize and understanding why he was saying that to me like years later. Like for me, Ricardo was the most genius player I ever saw play the game. And I still learn from him. Sometimes I call him, oh, what do you think to do like in this situation? Can you give me some tips? And very close and very friend of mine today.
Yeah.
I'm very blessed.
And it's a hard thing to play with your idol when you're just 22.
Yeah.
A lot of people would probably buckle under that pressure. Was that like how nervous were you to step on the court with Ricardo?
Oh, yeah. So I had kind of a very tough moment in the beginning because, and I have kind of like a anxiety attack in the beginning, and that's why I started doing like some yoga and some psychology, sports psychology. That was the moment I started because I started having like I went to the doctor. I was having like I don't know how to say in English, gastric,
Acid
Okay.
reflux.
That's what-
and was really painful. And then I went to the doctor. The doctor says like, this is your anxiety level. You need to to go for psychology or something like that. And I started to treat myself, and I got way better. And that moment was crucial and helped me a lot to develop and to become a very good player. And in the same year, we just had like a lot of very good results. In the best one was like a silver medal in the World Champs, and I also was the named MVP of the tournament in Staria Blonki. But was very painful, but was very, very like a big growth moment for me.
Yeah. Who did you grow up watching? in
All
Brazil?
those guys.
Yeah.
Like, Loyola, Jose Loyola
Yeah.
was one of my biggest idols when I was growing up. To this day, every time I talk to him, I was like, man, I grew up.
Is it
watching
trippy
this
getting
guy.
to work with his son?
What's that?
Is it trippy like getting to work with his son, Victor?
I didn't work with him
Okay.
directly, but I see him playing, and
Yeah.
I see a lot of Jose's in him.
Intense.
Like intensity. Like Jose Loyola was one of my favorite players of all time to watch. And then, of course, Ricardo, Emanuel, Alison, Alvaro,
Yeah.
all of those guys, I grew up watching them and idolizing them,
Mm-hmm.
All those guys were amazing, and they did so much for our country.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons I have a job today is because of those guys. Those guys paved the way for all of us to become really good volleyball coaches, because they were there breaking ground and making history. And if Brazil is respected in volleyball, it's mostly because of those guys. And of course, indoor volleyball did a really good job from the 80s until today. Brazilian volleyball is really well respected because of all of those guys. But beach volleyball in Brazil, like, those guys built everything from zero.
Yeah. And you made the transition to coaching earlier than us two. What was
Mm-hmm.
it that drew you to coaching so early?
So the first reason that I wanted to become a coach was because I had terrible coaches. I didn't have
funny.
Yeah,
Makes
my
sense.
coaches were not good. They were great people. They cared a lot about developing young athletes, but they didn't have good methodologies. They didn't have good leadership skills. So when I went through my juniors phase and early professional career, I was having terrible experiences as player. So I started going to physical education school, and I was like, yeah, I want to become a coach that I didn't have. And
I like that.
I was like, and I was very lucky that the first years that I was coaching volleyball, I had great mentors that guided me through this process of becoming a good coach. And relationships were always their main pillar.
Yeah.
So that taught me a lot.
It's interesting because I feel like when you're young, it's hard to know. When you're in it, it's hard to know that you're getting not great coaching. Because I think one of the biggest, most common problems that we see with coaching is that you coach how you were coached. And a lot of times it's bad coaching. And you see it replicated from generation to generation.
Yeah.
And you must have had a pretty good eye for what a better coaching style would have looked like.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, the first years that I became a coach, I was very lucky to have people that were like great role models for me.
Yeah.
In terms of like, what is a good leadership, what is good methods, what's good way to treat athletes. John Castle always says, don't be your player's last coach. So that was one big motive for me. That's always been and still is to this day. So I'm trying to build good relationships, try to, of course, study the game and bring good methods, but always putting people first, always creating good relationships and being kind to people in order to get the best out of them.
Yeah. And I think I'm very new into coaching, but I think they just listen to you more when they know that you care about them.
Exactly. Yeah.
More than just being an athlete.
Yeah. I think you mentioned that phrase the
Yeah.
last episode. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
So it's one of the most important things for me as a coach.
Yeah. How have you seen yourself change as a coach from when you started to now? Like, because I'm sure that you probably started with some ideas of what you thought might be pretty effective coaching, and then as you got into, you're like, actually, this way's a little bit better.
Yeah, if you put my coaching style in a timeline, so first it was pretty much replicating what I had as a player, then following the steps of the people that I worked with, and then when I first came to the United States, I was introduced to gold medal squared.
Okay.
So gold medal squared is a big reference for me for many years, and it still is to this day. And the last 4 or 5 years, really I'm really diving into the ecological dynamics, constraint-led approach, all of that, mostly because John is the biggest influence on that space for sure. And I see myself following this path forever because for me is the most effective way to coach. But always, again, going back to treating people the right way, putting people first, my leadership skills and are the base of everything, like treating people right and creating good relationships. I think that is the base of everything, and then the methods come with it to become like to make the program better and develop the team on the court.
Yeah. Now this is I'm glad that I have a double Brazilian guest in here, because this is something that I've been really wondering. Brazilian coaching, really different from the ecological side for the most part. It's
the opposite.
And pass, get double set, and then you'll do this. And we were talking about it. Brazilian style coaching and American style coaching, pretty different. And I'm curious what you guys think. Like, you were obviously a very successful player being coached in the Brazilian way. Brazil pumps out an obscene amount of talent in beach volleyball, but everything I'm reading is like, I don't think I would coach that. I don't think I would run a heavily Brazilian-styled practice very often. And I'm wondering how you guys sort of weigh those two approaches.
Well, of course, I have a big influence from
Yeah.
Brazil, but I've been out of Brazil for so long that I think I've followed the American methods way more than I follow the Brazilian methods. And that's something that I try to do with my coaching education project, is to bring some ideas from here to there. So especially now with the ecological dynamics kind of methodology, I try to change Brazilians' heads, and it's really hard because Brazilian volleyball is so successful training under those high repetition methods. But at the same time, especially back in the day, we saw a lot of Brazilians playing like non-structured volleyball on the streets, on the beach, and like with the groups of friends. And that's actually the ecological dynamic, not a structure, but it's the same kind of idea, like playing the game, getting better by playing the game. And then you combine with some methodology that optimizes that, which was what Brazilian volleyball did in the 90s and the early 2000s, and then you see all the success.
Yeah. And what about you?
So I totally agree with Cesar. But I also still like the Brazilian style. Like in some moments, let's say a player has a certain not efficient way to receive or something like that, and then you need to be like to repeat the good move in that player. Then when they learn that movement, and then I believe they can go back for the kind of ecological, kind of situational game, that's what I kind of believe. So in Brazil, most of the coaches I had were a lot of reps, and some of them kind of had this kind of putting a lot of like different situations of the game, and putting the player trying to solve the problem, because I believe the decision making of the game is maybe the biggest difference, as we were talking about. And when you put a player in different situations, and situations that it's not very comfortable, especially when, like, let's say, it's a situation that last tournament the player lost the game in that situation, you put them to solve that problem. I believe that's the really good part of coaching that I like to go through that moment. For sure, the player is going to be like not very happy in the practice, but I believe one of the hardest things to do in coaching is like trying to do something similar with like to the game. The more real is the practice, the more I believe it's a good practice, and this is the kind of a mix I'm trying to put like in my style of coaching. Of course, I'm still have like a lot of like influence from coaches that I had in Brazil, and I'm also blessed to have like amazing coaches. Like I can say a lot here like about my coaches, and I'm still trying to build like a kind of a what is my style of the game. I'm still building that, and I believe is just trying to learn new things, and that's why I'm here, like with USA Volleyball, try to learn from other people and just to be a better coach.
And would you, now that you've been coaching for 2 years, and like you said, you're still building out your philosophy as a coach, would you change the way you trained as a player based on what you've learned as a coach?
Yeah, a lot. Like not a lot, but special. I believe I will work more on my like watching videos and in this moment trying to like in the decision making, trying to do the decision faster than I used to do. So try to practice that way, because there is a moment for a player you already have your full, like your strength level is in your maximum, your jump is in your maximum, but there is a limit for that. But here in your mind, like the driver can always be better. So I believe I will maybe work more on the driver, trying to be a good driver, better driver.
How do you think, this goes to both of you, and you have the most coaching experience, how do you train someone to be a better decision maker, do you think? A better driver?
That's a great question. I mean, I think again, going back to the ecological dynamic, we always plan activities that have three big pillars: reading, decision making, and then doing the movement. So everything that we design in practice has always those three elements. So you can actually design an activity to train one single skill, but if you have those three elements, you're gonna be getting better. You're gonna get better as a player.
Yeah.
So if you design an activity that just trains the movement and it's rehearsed and something that it's predetermined,
ballet,
then you're,
as John says.
Like John says, the ballet, yeah. And then you're taking away two key components of every single sport, not just volleyball.
Yep.
So the reading and the decision making, like Alvaro was saying, like making a decision is a very, very important skill that any athlete of any sport has to have. So those are the things that are like baseline for everything, every single activity that we plan in practice.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like those three pillars. That's a good way to describe that.
Yeah.
Who do you think are some of the best toughest players you had to play against because they were such good decision makers?
A team that was for me was really hard to play against. Mo and Sorum. It was like a very good team to play against. Another player that I played a lot against was Bruno Schmidt. Was also really tough to play against him because I was doing one movement, he was going another movement. It was for the whole match like a very uncomfortable situation. Like okay, now he's doing the line shot, or I start reading for the line shot. And then it was kind of a chess game, changing the movements all the time until the end to see who is going to win the game. Very annoying, and to be very patient. Another one that I didn't play a lot against him, but I never beat him. Was Todd Rogers,
Yeah.
and very also player that you do a move, he also do the next move. So these were some of the players that I played against, and very, very like I had like bad moments to play against these players.
Another skill we talked about a lot, and a player who did it quite well, is winning with whoever you're put on the court with.
Oh,
And I think Emanuel, we talked a lot about him, and Karch won with basically everyone he ever played with. And you grew up watching Emanuel. What do you think made him so special? He flew physically, jumped super high, could hit some crazy angles, but you can have as many on-paper tangibles as you want.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean you're going to be an Emanuel who has... So of the top 5 winningest teams of all time, Emanuel is a part of 3 of them. It's Emanuel and Ricardo, Emanuel and... Gosh. Zamarco, yes. And Emanuel and maybe Jose. That's crazy. 3 of the top 5 winningest teams of all time, and Emanuel's
I believe Emanuel and Loyola, they had still the record, like most winning tournaments in a row at 5VB.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I also like I had the opportunity to practice a lot with Emanuel, and also he coached me so for a while, and there was a program from the Olympic Committee in Brazil, and he picked me up to coach me, and I was just, once again, I was lucky to have that. And Emanuel was the most guy, like the most dedicated person I ever saw in my life, not in just beach volleyball and not in any area. He was just obsessed about being better and being better and better every day. He was kind of my, like, this is the guy I want to like has an example of a player.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned a lot from him, and that's I believe he is a very good example. Not the most skilled player, but the best driver. You know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's funny because
so probably he was like a
best of all times.
Like
Yeah.
as he is a Brazilian, I can call he's like a Ayrton Senna,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
For sure.
like a Formula One driver.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
because that's what Kent Steffes is a good friend of mine, and he always says I was a B- passer, I was a B- hitter, I was an okay setter, I served all right, but I just won. Like
Yeah.
winning is a skill, and I feel like Emanuel,
Definitely.
winning's a skill, and he found a way to do it.
Yeah.
yeah, I believe players like him, Kach Kirai and Jose Loyola, they're just winners. They're gonna find a way to win. They are bump setters, but they're gonna find a way to win. Nothing against the bump setters, but they're for sure best drivers.
Man, I loved when we were doing out of system hitting, and you were like, "Boys, let me show you the approach. I played with bump setters. I know."
Yeah, like you need to wait
It
for the
worked back in
transition.
the day.
Yeah. But what do you think set Emanuel and the Ricardos and all those guys apart?
Well, they made their partners better.
Yeah.
And on top of course, having the highest level skills and knowledge of the game, reading, making decisions, all those elements that I talked about a while ago. And they just made everybody else around them better.
Yeah.
And the combination of all those factors, like Alvaro said, that he was obsessed with training, like pursue the highest excellent level in a daily basis, was like or work ethic. So all those elements put together made them special, made them great. And for me, Emanuel is the best of all times, but Ricardo is like right there. Karch is right there. Alison is right there. Those guys are legends. Like Loyola.
Yeah. I think it's cool when you can go through someone's list of partners and be like, man, he won with that guy who was a different player from this guy, but he won with that guy who was way different from this guy, and he won with that guy. And like Emanuel won with anyone he played with.
Mhm.
I'd put Jake Gibb on that list of really good partners. Like
Definitely.
he got the best
sure.
out of everyone. Karch won with anybody. It's cool to look at that as sort of a barometer for greatness as well.
Yeah, for
And that's
sure.
like an unfair to like an Anders who's going to play maybe his whole career with
Yeah,
Christian. But I
for
think
sure,
Anders
yeah.
could probably win with whoever you put on the
Mhm.
court with him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and there's always for sure like so I say 3 players that like very dominant that I saw in the game. Like Anders Mall is one, in my opinion. Phil Dalhauser and Ricardo. These 3 players are like very unique.
No, and for me, I'll put one on this list, April Ross.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just
What
talking
can you
about me.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, but speaking about making the partner better and winning with everybody,
Yes.
she is for me the Emanuel, the Karch guy of the women's side.
Yeah. I mean, you got 3 Olympics,
Yeah,
3 medals, 3 partners.
three. Yeah,
That's really hard.
Pretty damn good.
I believe she played like different positions as well.
Yeah, she split with Jen Kessie, right?
yeah.
And then full-time D with Carrie and Alex. But it's like silver medal split blocking.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Freaking amazing. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's funny. It was really cool chatting with April because like same thing, kind of that transition from player to coach. And she said that coaching at El Camino, which is a lower level,
Mhm.
here you have one of the greatest women's players ever, like certainly on the Mount Rushmore of women's beach volleyball players.
Definitely, yeah.
And she was like, it was great for me because I had to learn how to communicate these insanely high level concepts and to dilute it to an understandable way. And that's really hard to do.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the reasons that great players often struggle to become great coaches
Yeah.
is because they become so good at it that becomes so instinctual and natural. And I was talking with Mark Patlouian here the other night that when I asked Try like why he did something on a block or why he moved his feet or hands this way, he's like, I don't know, I just felt it. And it's like for more middle of the pack players, you really gotta study it and understand it and be able to know like, oh, this is balls here, relationships there, I gotta do that. And it was cool like watching April work through that. And I think she's going to be a pretty good coach just because she's like obsessed about it. She's such a learner.
Yeah, she's a learner. She's a winner, and she's gonna work really hard to be the best at whatever position she holds.
Yeah. Have you done a camp with her before?
I have not.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't have that pleasure, but I was around. I mean, what Alvaro said of like just being a part of that group and watching her demeanor only. It's already for me unbelievable. It's like, man, I'm right next to her. I have access to her. It's something that didn't cross my mind 3 years ago. Like, I cannot believe I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm just soak it in every single minute of it.
Yeah, it's cool. And it was really cool because we were chatting. We were just sitting there watching the competition day. And young men, a little bit emotionally volatile, right? So you get kids and we can just see them just getting so mad and spiraling. And I was asking April, like, I think that she's one of the best, most mentally disciplined athletes I've ever seen. And I asked her how she got that way and how she could take what she learned as a player and teach that to them. And she was like, man, if I knew, like, I wish I knew how I could do that, but what a question.
Yeah.
And just the fact, like, those last 3 years, now put everything in perspective here. The last 3 years of my life working, not just 3 years, but mostly those last 3 years working at the USA Volleyball and LMU, like, I have access to people that I idolize. It's too idolized. Like, I can talk to Todd Rogers at any time that I want. Like, I talk to him like he's a friend. And with Alvaro, was one of my idols as well.
Right.
Like Dane Blanton, like guys that won Olympic medals that are legends in their countries, and it's just unbelievable. I'm so fortunate to be part of that, like that environment.
And it's so funny because most of the girls, I don't know how it is at LMU or at Stetson, but most of them, no, you do know, they have no idea. Like, the abundance of riches they have on their coaching staffs. Like, our girls are walking into the office and Nick is the most humble, two-time Olympian
Fair
you'll ever
enough.
meet.
Yeah.
And
Didn't mention him, but
and so
yeah.
he's got like his cowbells like hidden under a stack of thank you notes, and the girls are like, "That's a cute decoration. Like, what are
Oh
those?"
my God.
And I'm dying.
Come on.
And, like they have no idea like how good Brooke Niles was as a player, and Nick will be telling him like how to play defense, and they're like, "What does he know?" Like, maybe a thing or two.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And you have a
Watch
funny
one YouTube video, and you're gonna see how good they
But
were.
you have a great story when Alison came
Oh
to
yeah.
train.
So Alison came to Dylan like in Stetson to practice with me before Huntington. And we were practicing there, and the girls was like, "Who's this guy here? Like he's big.
Oh,
He's so tall. Like he has a good block. Oh, look at that guy." I was like, "Oh my gosh, go home.
if you don't know,
Oh,
Ali,
just go home."
shouldn't play beach volleyball.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah,
It's so funny because like you go to like Cal Poly's event, for example, and you got John's up there. He was an AVP, MVP, won a number of AVPs, played World Tour for a long time. Dane, Olympic gold medalist. Todd Rogers, Olympic gold medalist. And you go all the way down the line. It's
Oh,
like,
gosh.
man, these girls have the greatest players to learn from.
Yeah, it's like they're lucky. They're very lucky. Like I was the last 2 years, I went to the office every day, speaking to John. Like at first, it seemed surreal because I could hear the podcast.
Yeah.
the coach your brains out every single day, right?
You're coaching your brains out every day.
Like it's one episode of coaching your brains out per day, which is great. Like great learning environment and all that every single day, and then having access to all those legends are like it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask this question with John and Billy. We have two coaches and two parents of young children. So you have two. How old are your kids?
My old one, Dom, he's 4, and the little girl is like 9 months now.
Okay. And then mine are 2 years old and 3 months, and yours is 7.
Yeah, Liz is 7 years old.
And I'm
yeah.
curious because it changed my perspective a bit, but how has becoming a parent changed how you coach, especially since we all coach young women?
Mm-hmm.
And how has coaching changed, if it has, how you parent?
So for me, when my daughter was born, I had been a coach already for many years.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more on like, how do I want to treat my players? Like knowing that I'm a father now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've always had that I had that in me, I think. Like very natural way to deal with girls. I've been working with girls for 20 some years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a natural process, but it's just more intentional now. So I think the intentionality when she was born, it was a little more out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, was like 2 moments. The first one, like with Dom, was kind of I was still playing, and was like, okay, I don't want to miss him growing up. I want to be close from my family, and that was something that if I want to achieve greatness or I want to be a dad, and was kind of a very hard situation for myself, and I chose to be close to my family at that moment. And now being a coach, because most of the time like I was just like with men, and now coaching women, and I had a girl, so my word is kind of pink right now. And I'm learning a lot, and I just, as Cesar said, like I just imagine like my little girl over there, and this helped me like how to treat them better as human beings, and try to teach them like the right way to do like stuff. And because we're coaching volleyball, but many times we're talking about behaviors.
Yeah.
And this is also a big part of coaching, in my opinion.
Yeah, because we were at East Meets West actually, and we were driving back from dinner at Blue Salt down in Redondo, and one of our freshmen, Mariah Massey, won the World Championship U19 last year, and she asked like if having a daughter has changed like me as a coach. I was like, what a question. And it was cool because I'm like, it's like I get little snapshots into what she is going to be like one day, like with all the different girls. And so now like it's like, how would I want a coach to coach my girl when she's in college?
Yeah.
And that's sort of how I run the framework through everything, because you want to be like, I would want them to hold her to a high standard, but to also be compassionate and understand that if they lose a match to UCLA at East meets West, the world's going to keep on spinning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
Definitely,
it's been cool.
And at the same time, you want to mentor your players because your kids are around the team. Like, at least my daughter she's around. Like, she went to camps and they coached her. So in some way, there are role models for my daughter. So I have we as coaches, we probably have some influence on our players that will reflect back in our children.
Yeah.
So that's some way to kind of make the cycle, make this chain works in a proper way, and we have some influence on that.
Yeah. And I think, man, I admire your choice so much when Emanuel asked you, like, hey, do you want to be the best playing, or do you want to be a dad? And you were like, I want to be a dad. No regrets with that?
No regrets.
It's a cool choice.
I believe like that's the choice. Like, of course, like the thing is, when you like want to be in that hole, like, and be part of like a playing Olympic game and all that stuff, you just kind of forget about everything. You just focus in one thing, in the mission. So that was kind of you have a lot. Like when I left to Tokyo, like we left kind of a month and a half before, like to prep and to play tournaments before the Olympic Games. My son had no teeth in his mouth, and when I came back, he was like full of teeth. I was like, "What's going on over here?" He was this size, and now you are this size. And for me, it was like a shock. And I said, "Oh, I don't want to miss that." And coaching, I believe I still can achieve greatness and be around my family. So the tournaments right now, it's just I go for 3-4 days and I go back home, which before playing for Brazil was not something achievable, because sometimes you were around like 2-3 months out of home, and it's really hard when you have a family, and that was my choice.
Yeah, and I think, and that's what I felt like when my daughter was born. I was like, man, I feel like all the ambition to achieve things for the status of achieving them, it just washed right out on that delivery table. It was like, now I just want to be home. Like, that's my Olympics, is to be a dad.
Yeah, and if you want to achieve greatness in a different way, maybe it's for her. It's to show her, or show him, and show your kids that there is a way to be great and still take care of your family, take care of the people around you.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, what time do you gotta go?
I'm good.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
This talk is too good. I don't want to end it.
No, it's man, I love having both of you guys in here. It's such a cool perspective, like new coach, legendary player, experienced coach, but still like you have that beginner's mindset, I feel like.
Always, yeah. It's something that I take with me, that Bernardinho is one of the greatest for me of all times. He always says, just keep the beginner's mindset, always. White belt mentality.
I love that. I'm curious, what prompted you to go back to indoor?
So I've been coaching for 25 years, 23 of them indoors.
Okay.
The last 10 years I've been coaching beach, but like most of those 10 years I was coaching indoor also. Okay. And I feel that I really love indoor volleyball. It's always been my core. And I always had in the back of my mind to go back eventually.
Got it.
And the combination of all the factors now that kind of aligned were a good opportunity for me to go back. And I always say that to John and Benny, and they laugh at me. I feel that I'm an imposter on coaching beach volleyball. Like when I had talks with them or with you guys, they're like, man, I know nothing about beach volleyball compared to those guys. Of course, I learned and became a okay coach on the beach, but I think that my knowledge on the indoor game is bigger and I can contribute more. So being a head coach for me was something that made sense for my career, my goals as a coach.
Yeah.
And living in Florida was, you guys live in Florida.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
just made
welcome.
the transition
Welcome,
to
brother.
Florida.
Floridians.
Florida was a big drive for me. I've always wanted to go live in Florida, and my wife.
What town are you going to?
Fort Myers.
Okay, cool. You'll be man. I gotta
So we
set
have
you up
north.
with Brooke Sweat.
We have North, Central, and South Florida.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
We got it
I
all
have
covered.
connected with Brooks
Brooke.
already. Yeah.
My wife played a season with her, and just like one of her favorite people in the whole world.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Everybody speaks very highly of her. I'm excited to. We might work together on something.
Yeah.
With the club. She works with the local club,
Okay,
so we might do some work together. I don't know.
can't keep you off the beach.
Yeah, I hope I stay on the
Yeah.
beach for like in some way.
Yeah,
You know, I really fell in love. I actually started playing volleyball on the beach, and the last few years were so great for me personally, professionally, that I never want to leave the beach volleyball game like completely. So I'll stay connected, and I
Yeah.
made so many good friends, met some great people. So
What are your big goals coaching?
Olympics, I think Olympic game for me is the highest that we can achieve as a coach. Eventually going back to a D1 level as a head coach.
Cool.
That's one thing that I want to achieve. But mainly make difference in people's lives. I really like my life mission is to make an impact on people's lives, and
You're in a good profession.
yeah, and I think coaching is the most beautiful profession to do that, you know. And as John Mayer says, coaching is underrated. Like, we should be as important of a profession as a doctor or
Yeah.
lawyer, and unfortunately it's not seen this way, but I think we have a great power to influence people in a good way.
I think parents and coaches are the most influential people in individuals' lives.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a lot of power in that, and a lot of
Totally agree.
responsibility to
Yes,
Definitely.
be a parent. And for a lot of the college coaches, you become sort of a surrogate parent or like an uncle,
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to spend more time with the kids than they will with their actual parents.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
And there's responsibility in that. I like it.
Oh yeah.
And I know your big designs. You're getting your undergrad right now at Stetson,
Yeah.
and because
that's-
you want to be a head coach one day.
Yeah, step by step, start building, and of course, like you like for sure. I believe one of the main goals are just to share and to impact people's life. And this was the main thing that I had like a passion to coach when I had no idea that was going to be so good for me when I start coaching, and I start feeling that okay, I can make an impact on people's life, and I can help people. So it was very like feeding my spirit with that, and for sure, like trying to achieve the highest stages is always something that it's a challenge, like Olympic Games, World Champs, and NCAA champs. All the highest stages are like as a coach, I will try to grow to be there in one moment and to be ready for that moment. So I believe step by step.
What is it that you like so much about coaching? You said you were kind of surprised. You didn't realize like how for you it would be.
Yeah, so I was like, I had this conversation kind of Nick. He was kind of surprised when I said that I love so much to coach, and I kind of like my feeling about this sport was like not the same as a player, and the fire was kind of going down. And when I started coaching, like the fire came even higher, and I believe it's because I felt that people was just getting better and happy because I was and I was part of that. So this was kind of something that feeds my spirit a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got great jobs.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's great. Yeah.
And me and you get to coach and podcast.
Yeah.
It's the best combo in the world.
Oh man, it's great. I love it. Love it. Yeah.
And so where can our listeners find you? Because you got your own podcast.
Yeah, I have my own podcast. It's mostly in Portuguese, but we have a channel called Set Point Podcast on YouTube. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. There are a few episodes in English that you can listen or watch. But now we're actually partnering with a big YouTube channel in Brazil that's going to be probably going to be 100% in Portuguese. So it's Canal Ataque Defesa. If you're a Brazilian and you're listening or watching this podcast, you can go on that channel. But eventually we want to keep doing content in English and interviewing great people. You're invited already to be a part of it. But I don't know, like with this transition, partnering with this big channel, it's probably going to become a little more professional, a little more
Cool.
a little more structured. But yeah, it's mostly coaching, coaching education stories that teach people lessons about coaching, about leadership, about
Yeah.
team building.
I was just impacted from a message he shared on the was it Instagram that or
Which
was on YouTube? The one you shared about your journey through.
Oh, my journey.
Yeah, it was really good. I was like, you were talking to me? Like I thought he was talking to me.
Yeah,
I love
have
that.
Very good.
Yeah, I have a like an online project for coaches, like
Mhm.
coaching education. I've been doing for 8 years already, and I do a lot of content on Instagram. So I have an Instagram all in Portuguese about coaching education, and I recorded. I was like, all right, this came to me. I was like, I'm gonna record that and post it. Let's see, maybe we'll help one or
That's all
two
you need,
people.
man. Yeah.
And talking about this transition and how that impacted me and how was my mind, my framework to go through those
Yeah.
moments. And then when Alvaro said to me, like, man, your video was so great, impacted me directly. I was like, what?
Isn't that
That's
the best feeling?
unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
I was shocked. Like, and I received other messages from random people saying, hey, your video helped me so much. Thank you. I was like, I was blown away. Really. It's crazy.
It's the coolest thing about
Yeah.
storytelling, especially when you tell like kind of a personal story about whatever it may be, and you're like, man, I'm a little nervous about hitting that publish button.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're kind of onto something,
Yeah.
because
for
it's
sure.
it's going to impact people in a real way, and it seemed to
Yeah.
get you.
And
Yeah, got really strong.
yeah. And doing the podcast is the same impact and the same kind of like chain of events that some people come up to randomly and say, hey, your podcast is great. I listen every single week. It's like, what? There's people
One of
listening
the-
to me?
man,
Really?
One of the funniest parts, we had a couple of our girls at Florida State were like, I've never listened to your podcast, but my mom loves it. Or my dad loves it. Yeah. So some of the
amazing.
U17 girls today, they came up and they're like, my parents are like too shy to say hi, but can we get a selfie and I'll send it to them? I was
so good.
cracking up.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You guys do such a great job here.
It's been fun, man. We just started because Tri was bored when he was sick, and this is year 8. Still rolling.
8. Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
thanks. It's
Yeah,
been fun.
8. Oh gosh, that's a lot.
Yeah. And I think I've actually learned more. Like, I think that helped expedite my process as a player. Like, you were kind of surprised that I started when I was 24. But I think this podcast has been like a cheat code for me learning how to play. So I'm like, wait, you tell me I get to, one, sit with Tri once a week and ask him anything I want about playing, and I get to learn from Tri. But then our second episode was April.
Oh,
and then we
gosh.
had Kame and Ryan Doherty and Sarah Hughes, and Kelly Chang was like our first 5. And then
Oh,
Phil, I was
gosh.
like, this is insane.
That's
I got to
pretty
it
awesome.
was the greatest learning I could have possibly done
Yeah.
on
And
accident.
again, John, with his podcast, I asked him one time, why do you do your podcast? And he's like, to learn. Like,
Yeah.
it's my favorite way to learn.
It's our tuition.
And I was like, yeah, exactly. And I was like, I'm gonna start a podcast to interview people and learn.
That's it.
That's like the first selfish goal is to learn, and then of course we're gonna share that knowledge with people.
Becomes a win-win.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys sharing your knowledge and stories with me. I enjoyed this.
Me too.
Yeah. So Cez, where can people find you? So Set Point Podcast.
Yeah, Set Point Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, Cesar Benatti. I post a lot of things there. If you speak Portuguese or if you are willing to hit the translate button, you can follow Cesar Feijão Benatti. Maybe I can send you the link so you can put in the description.
Yeah, I'll drop it in
here. But I produce a lot of content about coaching and life lessons, leadership, all of that. I love doing it.
What's your new mascot? You're not a Lion anymore.
It's the Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers.
Buccaneers.
All right. Let's go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Yeah.
Alvaro, where can people follow along with you in your journey?
Usually on Instagram. Yeah, that's the only way. Like I post. I'm not a very good a post guy, but just happy with your invitation to be here and share a little bit, and learn also from you guys. And it was a very fun weekend we had together.
A great time.
Yeah,
great time with you.
It was an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll run it back sometime, and everything in its own time.
Yeah. Love to be back.
Well, thank you, boys. Obrigado. Bem-vindo to
nada.
the studio. And I don't know, how do you say shoots in Portuguese? That's how, because people in Hawaii, when they say bye, they say shoots. So I don't know if there's
Ciao.
a casual. So just
say ciao.
All right.
Ciao.
Shoots.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.